Hey YouTube, how's it going? My name is Lonnie, dude. How Geometry Dash surpassed the game it copied? I think this is the story of the Impossible game, right? That's the freaking original little square jumping music game. I think that was the game they copied. You'll see this every once in a while where a game will like get really popular. Like there was this game called Threes, and it came out and all the critics freaking loved it. It was like this simple little puzzle game with like little faces on the cards, and then boom, this other game rips it off, makes it free, turns the camera off, turns me on. Can't see that though, obviously. And that game was called 2048. You may have freaking heard of it. I mean, this was like 10 years ago now, but freaking 2048 was like the freaking biggest game for a while, and it was like a super big trend, and freaking they copied it all from Threes, but I don't know if anyone has even heard of Threes. And 2048 is like a household name, and freaking I guess the same thing has kind of happened to Geometry Dash. I don't know if it's as extreme. Like I don't know how unfamous the Impossible game is or isn't, but let's freaking see what this video is about. Henke is the creator of this. Popped up in my recommended. I'm freaking interested.
10 years after its release, Geometry Dash has made multiple...
That is some nasty increments. That is some disgusting fat stacks.
...millions in revenue.
That is some gross-ass income, is what I'm saying. Can you guys smash that like button if you've made $45 million in your life, or you would like to?
What if I told you this wasn't the first game about a cube jumping over spikes, and they actually got the idea somewhere else?
So it is the freaking Impossible game. Also, I think they made a second one of these. But then it's so confusing, because then is it like Geometry Dash 1.0 finally? I guess that's not how it works.
We'll
Plagiarism, I mean.
Geometry Dash achieved its ridiculous success despite stealing its core gameplay from another game.
But I guess one of the freaking big arguments you can make is that the big selling point of Geometry Dash is the music, which I don't even know if it's original music necessarily, but I mean it's definitely heavily associated with the game at this point, I would think. Whereas the Impossible game, I mean, did they have bangers? I don't remember.
When an indie game developer called Fluke Dude launched his very first...
You can't call yourself that, man, and then you fluked it.
...title, The Impossible Game.
That's flucked.
The only information about its development process comes from an interview where he said
you hate to see somebody self-aware themselves into the grave.
It took him only 1 month to go from the idea to the final product, and that he worked on it while taking a break from his larger project called Sci-Fighters. In the Impossible game, you're tasked with making a cube jump over spikes and on top of blocks. As an extremely simple game that features only one level and one button, it's a hard sell compared to other high-quality console games.
What the fuck? This is too scary. Show me squares and points or I'm turning this off.
Fortunately for Fluke Dude,
Thank you.
Xbox Live had a separate service where indie games like this one could thrive.
What the hell is this bird represent?
From Fluke Dude's account on
This
X.
is me. Oh, it's the X bird. I remember.
Selling Xbox Live indie game between its launch on Xbox Live and when the iPhone port came out in April 2010.
Oh shit, dude, that was a good time, dude. I remember all these games actually. Actually, I don't remember Mobile Strike. What the fuck is that?
Rapidly growing industry where games had less budget and development time than on console, putting it in a better position to succeed. Despite its lack of content, it was very successful on the App Store, going from the top 100 to one of the top 3 paid mobile apps in the US.
Whoa.
Pretty solid, right? But this is nothing compared to what its clone was about to do. The Impossible game's success on both console and mobile platforms was enough to grab the attention of...
I thought this was mostly a Flash game, to be honest. I didn't even really think about that at the beginning, but freaking maybe Geometry Dash had an edge if they came to mobile first. That could be a thing, but I don't know if that was true.
Unlike
Mr. Robtop?
robtop had launched a couple titles before...
Dude, you guys don't remember Boomlings and Battleship? I mean, whatever this is?
So he had a slight advantage in terms of game development experience and knowledge. He noticed that the Impossible game's gameplay was very...
This is like freaking a Scott Cawthorn situation where he makes the biggest thing ever and all of his other games look like they were made 40 years ago, because they were.
But the original developer didn't do that much with it. A couple more levels were added in the early 2010s, and while that slightly extended the game's popularity, that's not enough to foster a large community. People would either beat the game or give up on beating it.
But it was impossible! Unless you lied to me?
Then delete it and move on with their lives.
Kind of fucked.
That's where robtop saw his opportunity. The plan was simple. Take the jumping cube idea from the Impossible game and build on it as much as possible. He even used the same engine, Coco's 2D, to build the foundation. This quote from robtop says it all. It simply started as a template with a cube that could crash and jump. Through different iterations, I then kept adding more and more features and content until the game felt right. After 4 months of part-time development, Geometry Dash launched on iOS and Android on August 13th, 2013.
Oh dang, so actually over 10 years ago.
It featured 7 levels with some new mechanics like jump pads, reverse gravity, and a portal that turns you into a flying ship. Instead of trying to make the levels hard like the Impossible game, RobTop made the first 7 levels relatively simple.
What? They are not. I don't think I've beaten them.
More welcoming for new players.
I'm not saying I couldn't, but they're not easy, but they're not impossible. But neither were the impossible ones.
From both inside and outside sources suggests that Geometry Dash was not immediately successful. If these 7 levels were all Geometry Dash had to offer, it would have met the same fate as the Impossible game. People stopped playing and forget about it. This is why RobTop made sure that 2 crucial features were in the launch version of Geometry Dash. The first of these was a level editor, where users can create and share their own levels. In other games, like Fall Guys for example, the level editor doesn't get added until several years later, but being available on launch was an absolute game changer. A level editor allows your game to sustain itself through community-made content. So if it's added later, it doesn't factor
more like non-tent. God, I'm fucking destroyed.
Supply of levels. Aside from just having more content, it opens up the possibility of more challenging levels. This could appeal to people that played the Impossible game or people who were
but found it too possible. Not enough geometry was featured.
In general, no matter how good you are, there's always a level where you can meet your match. Overall, the level editor allowed Geometry Dash to hold its current audience and make it so there's unlimited content to keep playing the game for. The second crucial feature was Every Play, which basically allowed users to record their own gameplay and share it. If the level editor was responsible for holding the game's current audience, Every Play was responsible for bringing in new players. Word of mouth. It's as simple and frightening as that. Instead of having to personally invest time and money into marketing, he had faith in his community to grow itself, and all he had to do was give them the tools to make that happen. If your current community is staying, and you also have new players coming in, then the player count can only go up. But this story doesn't end with the launches of the Impossible game and Geometry Dash. Each title had significant updates which left a major impact on where they stand today. Geometry Dash was updated monthly through January 2014, which is impressive for several reasons. Each update introduced a new mechanic along with a level that used it. Consistently pumping out major updates without getting tripped up by bugs is something very few developers are capable of.
I hate bugs. It would have tripped me up every time.
If other people can do this, RobTop also had to motivate himself to make monthly content for a game that had a slow launch. 1.1 introduced Mirror Mode, which was used in Time Machine. 1.2 was a new ball form in Cycles.
I see where some of the hostility in the game mechanics came in here. I see how it is, RobTop. I see how it is. I see where the anger comes from when you had to design this for your player base.
1.5
it's a toxic relationship, but it's ours.
Which features a UFO form along with purple pads and rings. If you bought Geometry Dash at launch and kept playing the game, you were eating up all this new content. On top of this, new content in the game means new content which can be used in the level editor, strengthening a core player base that was steadily growing. It's also worth mentioning that every time a level was added to the paid version, another level was unlocked in the free version, funneling in more players who were on the fence about paying money for it. Meanwhile, the Impossible game hadn't seen any activity during 2012 and 2013. Instead, Fluke Dude was working on other projects like Sci-Fighters and Mayan Slice. He did express interest in porting the Impossible game to PC, but the timing of his next move makes it seem like he was motivated by the steady rise of Geometry Dash. In May 2014, Fluke Dude partnered with Grip Digital to port the Impossible game to PC.
Let's go!
But that's not all. The PC port includes a level editor. People already played it back in 2010 or 2011 when it was accessible to anyone who had a phone. So there's not really a
Don't listen to these naysayers. Get off your high horse and say yay.
Market for the Impossible game
or whatever
to reach by moving it to PC, a platform.
Look at that stance, dude. He's freaking got it going. That's high level gameplay.
That making a level editor work.
Have you tried using the claw?
You can use these secret coins to unlock Club Step, the first level with demon
Club Step.
RobTop started appealing.
That sounds like a Skrillex album.
with a hardcore player base who was itching for levels that were very hard and had the level of polish that only robtop himself could provide. Electroman Adventures and Clubstep featured invisible and breakable objects, which require more of the player's attention to navigate. In my opinion,
this is like not even satisfying to watch. It's like watching someone play the knife game, like where you put the thing in your fingers, or you try not to, rather.
This is the earliest.
It's just the highest level anxiety I could be at.
Geometry Dash feel like the game it is today. Geometry Dash was ported to PC in December 2014, and like many mobile games that moved to PC, it had a relatively slow start on its new platform. Steam Charts is the only place where we can get active player counts for Geometry Dash, and it shows an interesting pattern. It climbs significantly in popularity for about a year, then plateaus for a while, then climbs again.
It's on the rise.
This takes us all the way into the 2020s, where recent developments have taken place with both games. After 7 years of radio silence on Twitter, suddenly this. A teaser for the Impossible Games sequel. 12 years later, fans of the original
there was a sequel, nice.
have a reason to come back. 4 months passed between the announcement
and
release of the Impossible Game 2 on mobile. This makes me wonder if releasing and announcing on the same day may have helped it attract more players, because the announcement tweet got over 3 times the amount of likes as the release tweet. Despite all of the advancements that Geometry Dash has made, the Impossible Game 2 still found new ways to innovate, such as platforms that move when you jump, enemies that you can jump on, and even a boss fight. It focuses more on interacting with the level around you than powering up your character, which I think is a cool way to maintain the simplicity that the original game had.
Yeah, this looks cool. I want to try this. I mean, it's no Geometry Dash.
To Steam, where it reached an all-time peak of 2 concurrent players.
Let's fucking go, boys! They said we couldn't do it! They said... 2 players, huh?
This video might dunk on the Impossible Game for not living up to the insane virality of Geometry Dash, but the least I can do is encourage
He's got a gun, dude! 2 players know what's up. They got taste.
Meanwhile, Geometry Dash kept receiving updates.
He's got legs, though. He's pretty badass.
Which added 3 more portals, 3 more forms, and 3 more colors of rings. RobTop can only add so much to Geometry Dash until it starts to become overloaded with content. At this point, the game has a massive community that's sustaining itself through the level editor and YouTube content. It's somehow more popular than ever, despite the game not receiving any updates in 6 years. There's one more update for Geometry.
But TikTok came out, so now people can see those videos of you going and playing with your tongue or whatever the fuck.
Geometry Dash that RobTop has been teasing since 2021, and it still hasn't released yet. It does look pretty massive, though.
This looks lit.
Features like a revamped level editor and an entirely new platforming game mode. It was announced
if it kills me one time, I'm gonna uninstall it. This was a really good video. Freaking shout out to Henke. Which game do you freaking prefer of these 2? The Impossible Game, Geometry Dash? Have you played either of them? Let me know in the comments. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season or freaking Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.